What's going on, everybody? How are we doing today? It is Ben Morgan of the Fins Up Network, back with another training camp practice report. Day 5 actually on field for your Miami Dolphins. The first day with pads, a day a bit marred with a bit of an issue that we've been experiencing now in training camp for, I'd say, about 3 years. Regardless, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to some good. We'll get to some bad. But right before we get into all of that, I want to hear from you. Any thoughts that you've had from training camp so far? Any questions that you would like me to address in the comments as well? Go ahead and drop them in there. If you haven't gotten subscribed yet, make sure you are doing that as well. As always, thanks to all of those that already have, those that are liking the videos, those that leave comments, greatly appreciated. I do have a little package of highlights, some extra video footage from today's practice. Sorry, I'm working with a little issue with my internet right now, so I actually had to package the videos together. One or two of them are a little bit grainier as well. But regardless, I'm not going to be able to go through the video and just kind of highlight one at a time. So I'm going to kick them off right here with that. They're going to go pretty quick, so I'll actually run through the whole package of videos probably twice. Most of the videos are from Tommy and Hialeah on Twitter. So if you're not following him, give him a follow every day. He's at practice. He's had some great video footage. Like I said, I'll run through these twice because they go by pretty quick here, but at least it's some footage from camp today. This first one here is Jaylen Waddle catching the ball over the middle, as we saw Tyreek Hill do so many times this last year. This next one is a tipped pass off from Skylar Thompson that Jalen Ramsey ends up coming with. The next one is Jaylen Waddle going low to bring in a ball here from Tua Tagovailoa. This next one would have been the highlight of the day had Jaylen Waddle been able to bring this one in from Tua. As you can see, just overshot him there. This one right here, Tua is actually going to end up rolling off to the left and hitting Tyreek Hill on a little comeback route. And then this last one is actually the first play of practice where Tua hits River Craycraft over the middle. Like I said, I'm going to run through those one more time here just so you can all see them. That was a quick burst of commentary on that. How about all that? We got nice interception right here by Ramsey. Kind of right place, right time. But to be able to get there, stick it up with one hand and grab it, that was fantastic. Waddle catching everything in sight these days in practice. Now that you know where the ball's going, you can see that Waddle just outran everybody. Who says Tua can't overthrow anybody, right? We've been seeing Tua make some plays on the roll here. Obviously, we're going to love to see that more here this season, some off-script stuff. This play here by Craycraft, watch this ball placement. Looks like he kind of throws it behind him, but if you can see there, that defender was waiting right there. So I'm assuming here that that ball placement was actually done on purpose and actually does that so Craycraft doesn't get completely walloped going over the middle there. Like I said, sorry for how I had to do the videos today. It just kind of is what it is for these days here while I battle and have a fight with my internet. Regardless, let's go into some player news and notes from the day. Jalen Wright noted for a shifty run of about 10 to 12 yards. We saw Jaylen Waddle in the video there with a nice couple of grabs. Travis Wingfield actually noted that he has not seen a drop from Jaylen Waddle during training camp, and that includes several off-frame throws. And I know that one by two, it almost looks like it went through Waddle's hands. Tell you what, if he'd have caught that, I mean, that's not an average catch by any stretch of the imagination. So if you want to chalk that one up, go ahead. Regardless, like we talked about yesterday with Waddle, working on getting out of his breaks faster, cleaner, doing the hands catching. Obviously, it's paying off some dividends there. We saw Craycraft with the completion on the first play from team drills. Hill caught the one where Tua was able to escape the pocket. Tyreek Hill also noted with a 60-yard touchdown from Skylar Thompson. It was not overall great day by quarterbacks not named Tua Tagovailoa. Both Skylar Thompson and Mike White had some ups and downs, but at least Skylar was able to save himself there with that 60-yard bomb to Tyreek Hill. Sounds like he tried to go back-to-back with the bomb. I believe it was to Berrios. Probably thought he was trying to throw it to Tyreek again because it ended up being an overthrow. Speaking of Berrios, him and Mike White hooked up for a 25-yard completion. And then kind of switching gears here, we don't often talk about special teams, especially in training camp reports, but both Braxton Berrios and Devon Achane both given some reps with the new kickoff rules. As you know, the kickoff rules are changing. We're going to obviously see more kickoff attempts or kickoff return attempts. So it's going to be curious to see. Those are the guys that we talked about in the comments of one of the videos. They were going to be given kind of the first crack at this, but don't be surprised in certain situations, kind of depending how the game, the season's going in general. Maybe you see a guy like Tyreek or Jaylen Waddle back there in certain situations as well. We'll see how all that plays out, but I've at least heard that that's a possibility. Tight ends, Jody Fortson had, unfortunately, a drop today on a nice corner route from Skylar Thompson, and then it was actually another veterans rest day for Jonnu Smith. He's part of that veteran rest program. We're going to be seeing those, I think, sprinkled in here throughout training camp leading up to the regular season. Over to the offensive line. Patrick Paul and Chop Robinson noted for some good battles today. Omar Kelly mentioned one specifically where Paul didn't seem all that bothered by Chop's speed, ended up getting over there and getting the block. And then once Patrick Paul had him locked up, Chop just didn't have the strength to overcome a guy like Patrick Paul, who is a very large mammoth of a human being. So the thing is, if Patrick Paul, his issue has been kind of handsy and grabby, and now with the pads on, you actually got something to hold on to. Curious to see how he ends up doing it, especially in like the joint practices where you start bringing in some officials and see if holding calls are being played. Regardless, we talked about the team working with Patrick Paul on some of those fundamentals, the hand placement playing a little bit lower. Good to see positive reps coming from Patrick Paul once again today. But we talked about a troubling I almost kind of buried the lead here. We talked about a troubling part of today's practice. And like I said, it's been kind of marring training camp practices for the last 3 years now. But it's the whole idea of a quarterback and center exchange. And yes, it feels very elementary, but Aaron Brewer and Tua had one today. I was told yesterday that they're working off to the side, even non-practice times, that they are working together. They're probably going to have to continue to do it. It sounds like by all accounts, they were actually working on the sideline when they weren't up in team drills today as well. Jack Driscoll, Skylar Thompson had a botched center quarterback exchange. Driscoll obviously noted earlier in training camp for having some of these issues as well. Regardless, it's been an issue that's kind of been with this team, like I said, for such a long time now, dating back to when Connor Williams got here. There were 4 noted quarterback center botched exchanges snaps today. So that's something that we need to work on. I've almost chalked it up to the point where we're cursed. It's just not meant to be. We just always seem to be having these issues. Hopefully, once again, it doesn't become one of those things that ends up costing us a game, or like last year, an opportunity to win a game. It was that comeback attempt against the Chiefs in the regular season. We're like, man, hopefully these botched snaps don't end up coming up and playing a big factor in an actual game. Well, last year we saw it. We got to nip it before it hurts us this year. Jack Driscoll did get some redemption later in practice. Him and Keon Smith were noted for opening a run lane on a nice gainer by Jeff Wilson. Teron Armstead, once again, rinse, wash, repeat. Given another Veterans Day off. Let's turn over to the defensive side of the ball where Zach Sealer was in the team's orange jersey. Remember yesterday, he actually got his hand up, batted a Tua pass that Javon Holland ended up intercepting. He was also noted today for being his usual high motor, high effort guy that ended up getting a would-be sack on Tua as well. Interior defensive linemen had some good notes today. Neville Gallimore with 2 sacks during team drills. Isaiah Mack with a sack on Mike White. Remember, Isaiah Mack actually, I don't remember if it was yesterday or the practice before, came down with a tipped interception as well. And then Benito Jones got some love today for his work in the run game. And I'll tell you that I'm actually pleased, maybe even pleasantly surprised with what we've come across so far on these interior defensive line reports as we look to replace the snaps and the production of Christian Wilkins, Raekwon Davis. Now, I will say that it's a little bit harder to really tell and judge these interior defensive linemen because of how bad Miami's offensive line has looked. Regardless, we can only go off of what we are told right now. We'll probably get a little bit more telling stuff once these joint practices ended up happening. once a preseason game gets here as well. Regardless, we were looking for some players to step up. It looks like we're getting some players that aren't named Zach Sealer and Calais Campbell to step up and at least make some plays and put some stuff on tape here. Moving over to the edge and the linebackers, both Jordan Brooks and Chop Robinson noted for would-be sacks today. Mohamed Kamara got in on a sack on Mike White where he used that bend, just getting down low, getting around your guy that we absolutely fell in love with during that pre-draft process. I loved his speed. I loved his bend coming around the edge. Put it on film today, beat Keon Smith on that play. Quentin Bell, an unexpected standout in camp so far, wasn't touched on a blitz that was dialed up by the new defensive coordinator, Anthony Weaver. Blitz on Tua resulted in a would-be sack. He was also noted for some good stops in the run game, and Travis Wingfield mentioned it would be hard to find a guy that's off to a better start to training camp than Quentin Bell. So obviously great news to hear from the edge there. Channing Tindall got Jalen Wright at the line of scrimmage for a tackle. It's the first I remember hearing Channing Tindall's name during training camp. And then we'll finish things up in the secondary where Cam Smith and Kendall Fuller both not practicing today. Kendall Fuller given more of like the day off, the rest day. We saw Cam Smith leave yesterday's practice early with an injury. Mike McDaniel didn't have any media availability before today's training camp practice, so we'll see if we learn anything new on that tomorrow. Jalen Ramsey, we saw the interception there. I believe that ball was tipped up by Zeke Vandenberg at linebacker there. We've actually heard his name a couple of times in today's report as well. Ethan Bonner, given a chance to prove himself a little bit more today with the likes of Kendall Fuller and Cam Smith out. Noted a couple of times, including putting a would-be hit on the quarterback. It was Tua at the time from a cornerback blitz. Jason Matre with an interception on a ball thrown from Mike White. And then Patrick McMorris, the rookie 6th or 7th rounder. I'm getting it mixed up now. Got a pass breakup on a pass from Skylar Thompson to Tanner Connor. First, I can remember hearing his name during training camp so far as well. Dolphins fans, that is what I have got for today. As always, like I said, get subscribed if you haven't done so already. We'll be back tomorrow with another training camp report. Sorry, like I said earlier, about clustering the videos and a little bit of graininess is there. Hope to have that ironed out here. I can't even put a timeline on it, but I hope to have it ironed out here fairly soon. Thanks as always for checking it out. And until next time, fins up.